Hey everybody, this is my current mechanical collection. I'm going to call this my mechanical collection Volume 2 because I did this about 2 months ago and there were significantly fewer pieces. So we're going to talk about each piece a little bit. I'm not going to be taking anything apart. I won't be doing any comparisons, measurements, weights, things like that. We may compare these with each other, but not like a normal review video. I just want you to see what they are, give you an introduction, talk about each one a little bit. I've done a review on virtually every one of these. The ones I didn't, I'll tell you then as we go through them, but there's only a couple that I didn't review yet. I'm going to start across the bottom, work my way to the top. Actually, I'm going to start in the middle, get rid of the coins. They are probably the oldest. Then it goes from the bottom to the top would be the older pieces to the newer pieces. So the ones across the bottom there were pretty much covered in my first video about my mechanical collection. So, but we're going to cover them again for anybody that didn't see that. And what's going to be a lot easier for me, rather than try to put a timestamp for each one of these and give you a name for each one of them, I'll give you a name as I talk about each one, and you can fast forward through the video to the one you want to look at, because as I talk about them, I will be removing them from the table here. So if you fast forward, you'll slowly see these disappear from the bottom to the top, and then you can at least find out where you're at, get a timestamp, and ask me a question if nothing else. So that's it. We're gonna move from there. Okay, so first coin is I believe it was called the Wave by Phonetic EDC, and that was sort of a branch off of Spinetic EDC. This one's bronze. I believe they were made in bronze, stainless steel, aluminum. This is one of the old original versions. His updated version of this has a bearing retention system for the bearing on the inside. I believe this one's pressed or glued in. But the newer one is called the Tidal Wave, I believe. And I don't know if he's ever made another batch of those. I'd really like to get one of those in stainless. But this could possibly be considered maybe the first mechanical coin. It has, I believe 4 springs and balls underneath here, and then there's detents. There's only 4 detents. So it's, and this being a soft metal, and the springs not being very strong, in my case, there's not much of a click. It's more of a haptic response. This is one of my early pieces, and I like it very much, and I'm glad to have it in my collection. But you'd have to find that on the buy-sell trade or elsewhere. Next one, let's do this one. I'm going to call this mechanical. Anything that doesn't have a magnet as its part of its main function. Now, some of these are hybrids, so they're magnetic and or mechanical, or a combination thereof. But this one is entirely just a clicker, like a Snapple cap, but it's nicely made, and it's all stainless steel, and you can push it apart. The ring on the outside is separate. Then you've got 2 little surface plates. There's a ring on the inside that those go onto. And you got to watch my video on this. These are only like $8, and I think they're very much worth it. But if you don't do the fix that I've prescribed, when you squeeze these 2 sides together, eventually it's going to stick. That's just the way it's made. But my simple fix is to add some foam on the inside there. It's a very easy fix. Makes this a very, very useful, worthwhile, inexpensive piece. Next one, we'll do the Gambit by Billet spin. I just have a blank middle piece in here, so it's not really easy to tell that I'm spinning it. But what this is a golf ball marker, essentially. And this middle piece is held in by a round spring. You can maybe see it inside there. And it flexes just enough. It's all lined up with everything. It flexes just enough that it lands in a little groove on this disc. And these discs are available in all different kinds of designs. I just like the plain one. but you can get all sorts of stuff there. You should check out that website if you're interested. The outside part, I have mine has a perfectly flat bottom, but the other option is to have a bottom that has a concave or convex surface. I think those are the other options. But I consider that mechanical because it's certainly no springs and balls in there, but there's no magnets either. Interesting piece. And he's done other things with that concept. If that interests you, you might want to look into that. Next will be these two. Very similar, got them at about the same time, probably made by the same company. My first Haptic, not Haptic, well, it is Haptic, my first mechanical coin. And this one is a lot like some other coins that we've seen. I wouldn't call it a copy though. You have the option of 3 springs and 3 balls. I just have 1 spring and 1 ball set up in it. It is held together by magnets in the middle, but they're not really part of the haptic function. So this is mechanical in my opinion. And the price is right on this too. I would highly recommend you get your hands on one of these. This is one of the most responsive. It's just very crisp. And that's a big difference between, I'll bring this back out again when we talk about the top C, but yeah, very worthwhile. At the same time, I saw this become available, and it's the same number of clicks as that one. In fact, I think they were almost interchangeable, except for the magnets on the middle weren't compatible. But this one is the same sort of setup. It has 3 sets of springs, 3 balls, and I think again I only have 1 spring and 1 ball in there. But it's this one's stainless, and I saw it available in zirconium at the time. But I would not recommend this one necessarily. I mean, it was significantly more expensive, and it's just a little too sluggish for me, I think. And the more springs and balls you put in it, just the louder it gets, I think, if I recall correctly. But I don't really recommend that one very much. This one has to be my favorite of all, and that would be the ACDC Milc Cap V2, or the Noise, the N-O-I-Z. The construction of this is pretty unique. The inside, you can either you can use multiple balls, and depending on how many you use and where you put them, you can change this from a I forget the number now, but it's I want to say it's I want to say it's a 20 click to a 40 click. So depending on where you put the balls, right now I have it set up for 40 clicks, I think. It's either 40 or 20. And if you set it up differently, you can get half that many. But I like it with more clicks. And the middle part is also has a one of those clicker domes underneath there. But there's a trick to taking this apart and putting it back together again, so that you don't ruin that little clicker dome. And that's happened to several people now, including myself. But I had my video about this. You can learn how to do that, take it apart and put it back together again without ruining it. And this is the back part, and I have found that it's not coming loose. So it's doing a real good job at staying on by itself. I was a little concerned about that. But yeah, this one definitely the best in my collection. Next runner-up would be the Top C by Metal Toys DZ. This is stainless. I've talked about it. I've had done a video on it. In fact, the only two that like I said, I don't think I may not have reviewed this, and I may not have reviewed this, but I did do this one, the Top C. I had trouble getting this one in the mail, but once everything came, it worked pretty well, and I'm pretty happy with it. It met my expectations. But and this is like the top favorite, I believe, with everybody right now. Different materials are available, all that stuff, even PEI or Ultim. But it is a different kind of snap. It's more, I want to say it's like a fleshy slap of a sound compared to the crisp click of that one, for example. But that's pleasing by itself, just the way it is. I think that's why everybody likes it so much. But you're not going to get real good crisp clicks. At least I'm not. Maybe I haven't experimented with this enough yet. I don't know. A lot of you guys have multiple copies of this and have done lots of experimenting. But it tends to be a little on the mushy side, but that's the design, I think. Again, you want to do the Lone Ranger. This is your instrument. So that is it for the coins. Next up, we'll start in this lower right corner here. We have some Mackie products. This, I believe, might be considered one of the very first mechanical sliders. It's mechanical on one side, magnetic on the other side. You're not going to find this new either anywhere anyhow. I don't think anyhow. More likely on the buy-sell trade, get it used. This is stainless steel. I don't know what else it might have been available in. I wouldn't bother with this one myself right now unless you want to have it in part of your collection. At the time, it was still relatively new, and I was still excited about it. But things have advanced a lot now since then, and I've lost interest in this one a little bit. But it's a hybrid, being the fact that it's both. But you can hear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clicks. And then the magnet part. This one, you can make it extend even longer in both directions, but I don't like to do that because the longer it gets, the more it gets weak and wobbly and wants to maybe fall apart on you. So that's the story with that, the CP2. Here we have the CP5 by Mackie. This is one of the first fully mechanical sliders, and not only that, but a 3-level slider. You can see the detents on both sides. Each side is 4 clicks, so you get 8 clicks total. It only slides in one direction. Little arrow to indicate it on this side. Same thing on this side. I like it this side better because it's a little bit more of a grip for my thumb. And I think if Mackie were to go back and revisit this design and offer it in new materials, especially Zerk, because everybody's nuts for Zerk, that they'd have a real winner on their hands. I'm not the only one that thinks that this is a good design. So, CP5 by Mackie. Next one. This one is unknown design, unknown maker. All I know is that it's fiberglass or G10 with a assumed Teflon plate in the middle, and it's a single ball, single spring. It's a lot like the One Pal here, if you're not familiar, but there's 2 little set screws on the inside here that run along these tracks. That keeps it lined up. Actually, more than anything, probably this dovetail keeps it lined up. These 2 and set screws on the inside are what stop it from sliding off the edge. So they're more of a stop. What I like about this one is the fact that it's not very loud. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clicks. Just a really nice piece, and it's hard to find. I've seen this in black and red, and then this multicolor version, and only a few were sold, and I have not seen them since. So I'm kind of crossing my fingers that those come back for other people. I get asked about that a lot. Next one is the One Pal by Lichu. This one's stainless steel with a Teflon liner. I also have a stainless steel middle piece, a dovetail piece that goes in there, but the stainless one feels a little sticky to me, so I would recommend, probably better, if you can, get your hands on that Teflon insert. For some reason, I like to use this one sort of upside down. I consider the part with the dovetail attachment to be the bottom. That's actually the heavier side. But when I hold it upside down, I feel like, for one, my thumb feels better on this surface than it does when I'm up here like this. You can feel that rough edge a little bit. So that's good, and then the weight of this kind of helps it drop with gravity, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's only a 4-click slider. It's one of my earlier pieces, and I like it a lot. I'll bet that the titanium one would be pretty nice, just because it would be light, probably be a little bit louder too. But this is this is available in lots of materials. So I think that's all there is to say about that one. This one is another Metal Toys DZ product. It's one of the first one of the deep fried dough sticks, or the Top D. And it has changed since this came out. After this came out, they made an all Zerk version, which includes a functionality now where this piece here can slide back and forth, and we tend to call it the zipper function. So you could get it to here and sort of slide it back and forth. Makes for some interesting moves, and I'm interested. I'm really thinking about getting one. It just came out in PEI, but the PEI version only goes back and forth. You have to be aware of that. And they explained it. PEI is just a little too brittle, I guess, to include this functionality. You know, it's probably just a little too brittle to withstand the kind of stresses that this goes through. But now they have a PEEK version, I believe, PEEK, another type of plastic, and it does function completely. More so than this one, it functions exactly like the Zerk version that has that zipper function where this can move back and forth. And the fact that it's PEEK, I think PEEK is a more durable and possibly a more dense. It seems to be very loud. I don't have any PEEK pieces yet, but it seems to be pretty loud and pretty durable. But I think you can also just get the PEEK insert and buy it by itself, probably through the Facebook group. I don't know where else you would get something like that. But then if you already have an existing Top D slider, then you could use, I guess you could use possibly the outside pieces with the middle piece that's PEEK, I think. Don't hold me to that. But yeah, that's a fun piece. Next up are these two Top B sliders. Now, I'm not a big fan of the Top B slider. The only reason I have two is because I attempted to buy the sandwich piece that's available out there. If you look hard enough, it's brass, it's a middle piece. It requires two full pieces like this in order to assemble a sandwich. And I had so much trouble with it that I just decided to give it away. And I'm not sure if the brass middle piece is any good or not, because the fella I gave it to, he is a fan of the Top B sliders and the bubble, which is the same thing with just curved outer surfaces. And I haven't seen him try it out yet, so I don't know, maybe he's had some trouble with it. But this is available in two different surface plates, the Z and the ZZ. This is the ZZ. I also have 4 springs, 4 balls, and 4 brass caps in there to give enough force on those springs to actually feel anything. So that's the ZZ plate. This one is the Z plate. Just not enough travel for me. Not enough feedback. I don't know. The middle piece kind of left a bad taste in my mouth too. But these are very popular with a lot of people, and they're available in all sorts of materials. And like I said, the bubble, the Top B bubble, is the same, except for the outside is curved. So that's what I have to say about those. These two are Studio Mini SPs, and I got this one first. This is the stainless steel. This is the polycarbonate version. So polycarbonate has to be injection molded, so that's what this is. Some of the other plastics, usually PEI or Ultim, those are all machined, but this came out of a mold. And this is a hybrid. They're both hybrids. So it has magnetic features and mechanical features. And in this case, you can take out the mechanical feature and run it strictly magnetic. One side gives you nice four soft clicks, and the other side gives you 4 more aggressive clicks. And then you got the 2 clicky buttons on top. So it's a very nice piece. I was happy with that. I got this. I can highly recommend this too. Just be ready to expect, you know, a piece of plastic. It was about $20. Has the same functionality. This one's a lot quieter. There's a slight difference in this one, but if you want to see that, go watch my video about these. You get more details. You got the 2 clicky buttons. These both have a little pendant attachment or lanyard attachment there. Very small. You'd have to put something small through there. But I don't know why you would do that, but that's there. This one does have this odd feature on the back, and I think it was just to cover up some of the molding artifacts, because there's where the mold was injected. That's kind of an ugly spot. So they have this to cover it up, and there was talk about whether or not I could make this so that you could pull the mechanical piece out, which happens to be a little ball plunger, and store it. Pull it out, flip it over, and store it. And I might do that someday, but it's going to require putting a bit of a countersink on that hole, and it's going to require putting a little bit of detent on the inside of this cap to make room for the ball that's going to be sticking up. But that would be a good way to store it, and then, because like I said, you could take the mechanical feature out of this, take that ball plunger out, and run it strictly as a magnetic slider. And that's the fellow that contacted me, I believe, on YouTube. That's kind of what he wanted to do. So I might do that down the road. So, from Gal Studio also is the rifle version 4. I have no idea what version 1 was, but I have version 2 was magnetic, and it had its problems. Version 3 was, I believe, partly mechanical, kind of weird, had a Allen screw thing on the front or back, I'm not sure. But this is the version 4 that just came out pretty recently, and you have to put a lanyard on it, I think, otherwise you're having trouble finding a way to hold on to it. This gives you a good gripping point. The problem is it comes from the manufacturer. Unless they've fixed the problem, the holes they drilled for these 2 screws are not big enough, and when they assembled it, it strips the threads off these 2 screws. And like right now, this is only hanging on by a thread. One of these is held on by a thread, the other one is completely stripped. And all I need are new screws, but I did have to re-drill those holes out. But you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clicks in that direction. Then if you slide it back this way, you can lock it into place, sort of. And then it's got this little slot in here. You can put up to like 8 or 10 4mm balls in there. Give us a little bit of an extra sound. You could run a strap through here maybe, but I prefer to put the lanyard grip over here. And this is gutted paracord. Otherwise, with the guts and the paracord, I could not get it through the hole. It's a very small hole. It's like 3.5, 4mm. But stainless steel, like I said, there's troubles with this one. You should watch my review on it if you're curious. This is the UU-ZH EDC. I've often seen it as JU-ZH EDC, and I've been told that that is a loose translation for matrix. So this is also a hybrid, mechanical, magnetic. This one you could remove the magnetic aspect and just have it, you can remove the mechanical aspect and just have it be magnetic. But you cannot take the magnets out on this one. You can rearrange the magnets on this one. It's pretty interesting. It's pretty complicated. I did do a pretty complicated video on this one where I explained the 6 different modes that they advertise. So if you have one of these, or if you're curious, if you're the kind of person that likes to fiddle with things and try different modes and stuff, this might be entertaining for you. Overall, though, I've been a little bit more distracted by things that are a little bit more interesting to me. But I do think this one's interesting. Maybe you can tell here if something like this might be interesting to you. This one's stainless steel. I think the difference in these material-wise might have either been just the outside plates or the middle plate. I can't know for sure, but I think it was available in titanium and stainless and zirc. Maybe you have to put your own lanyard on there as well, and that's a titanium bead that came from a different place. But that's that one. Then we have the let's do the 01 EDC 3-level mechanical. It's just called the 01 EDC. They didn't really give a better name than that. In one direction, it only goes that far. In the other direction, it goes that far. There's two options for the surface texture plate. You can either get standard or dense. Standard or dense. This is the dense pattern. You can see in there how close the detents are. And it is, I can't remember, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's 20 clicks all the way. I have this set up with stainless steel balls, I believe. The balls are a little bit small on the small side, so they're not like 4 millimeters or anything. They're close to 3, I think. I really like this one. Really like this one. And you can get interesting cover plates for this as well. I guess it's like a gamer plate. It has a little maze on in the middle with a tiny, I don't know if it comes with a glass or plastic plate that goes over that, but there's a maze with a tiny little ball bearing in there, and you can play with that. And then on each side are two little clicker dome clicky buttons, and you can have that for both sides. I think it makes it a little bit chunkier. It's a little bit bulkier when you use that, but that's one of the options for this. It's also now available, I've seen it available in G10 or fiberglass, and now you can get it in PEEK, the P-E-E-K we were talking about earlier when we talked about this item, the Top D. So I believe that material is a bit denser and a bit louder and more resilient. But it still needs to be machined, and machine time, as they say. And it's just as expensive as one of these. The latest from 01 EDC is the 01 EDC Feeling. And it came in either stainless steel, like this, or zirconium. But I did see someone recently that had one in titanium. He said he got it from the maker himself. So either they did a small batch or he has just a rare one. But for me, what really made this a winner for me is it came with stainless steel balls. There's two. You can see two lines of detents here. 2 springs and 2 balls. And it had stainless steel in there. These are a strange size as well. I forget what it is, but they're small. And I happen to have 4 nylon balls and put those in instead. And this became just the most perfect, soft. I take this to work fairly often, and I've had it in meetings and everything. Sometimes I just do a couple detents at a time there if I'm trying to be really quiet. But overall, it's not very loud. And the feedback's fantastic, and it's like a little bar of soap from a hotel. Just love this one. Again, this is just like the other one. It's available in standard or dense. This is the dense pattern with I think it's 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 clicks. Now, from Gal Studio, one of their first fully mechanical, it can be either, it's a hybrid, so it can either be fully mechanical or fully magnetic, or you can run magnets and mechanical at the same time, although I don't recommend that on this one because it just gets all mushed together and you can't really tell one from the other. The material on the inside is POM, black POM, which I've recently learned is the same thing as nylon. Not the best choice. I mean, it looks good, but if you try to squeeze this at all and you're kind of wanting to do that, it doesn't want to rub against itself very well. The friction isn't very good, so I always find myself having to hold it from the front, push it from behind. And it's also, it's not polished. It's got sort of a sandblasted finish, but it is still very slippery. It's a satiny finish. If your fingers aren't moist at all, like around here in the winter time, everything gets pretty dry. And this one, like right now, my fingers are a little moist and it's working fantastic. But I often find this to be slippery in the hand. So you have to push it from behind, hold it from the front. And as I said before, I really do like this one. It's a little bit, the tolerance is a little bit loose. That might bug you a little bit, but that's the way it is. I like this so much, I wish I could afford to just buy a second one and set it up as a magnetic, because the magnetic, when you put the magnets in this and take the mechanical part out, it's a very good mechanical, or a very good magnetic slider as well. And I really like the shape, so I may very well do that. This one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 clicks, either direction. I think there's a stainless steel ball and spring in there right now. In this case, the spring runs back and forth this way, and there's a ball on each side. So that's what hits the detents on either side. A little bit tricky, like if you want to put the magnets in this one and switch it back and forth, it gets a little bit tricky to do, but my video covers that pretty well. So if you need help, certainly go check that out. Now, this is pretty recent. This was the Subspace by Wanwo. And this is like the latest version. It looks a lot like their original little shield. It's very loud, and there's not much you can do about that. Right now, there's this one has, and it's set up very similarly to this one, which we'll go into at the very last. But the springs run left to right on this, and in this case, there's a little carriage inside here that runs in this slot, and there's 2 springs with 2 balls on each side, so 2 springs and 4 balls, and they run up and down these detents. And I believe I said already, there's stainless steel balls in here right now, and I think I tried, I'm not sure now, either I did not have the balls to try, or I did try, I think I did try the nylon balls in this, and it didn't make much of a difference, really. It was still pretty loud. In fact, it was louder. That's what I remember now that I'm giving it a second thought. Yeah, so there's not much making this quieter. I mean, if you had softer springs, but overall, it just feels kind of light. That's what I was wondering about some of these new ones that have a lot of plastic on the inside, and I was wondering, you know, what are you getting when you pay for this? Are you getting a nice solid machined piece that just happens to have some plastic parts inside of it, or are you getting something that's like mostly plastic with a thin metal shell that just sort of feels cheap? And this sort of feels cheap. Now, it's not. It's made very well. There's not much slop here. It's made very well. It's just very loud, and it happens to be light. So the titanium version of this would be even lighter. Another unique feature of this one is it's also available in G10 with, it's a G10 exterior. The interior is PEI, or Ultim. And usually Ultim is like louder, almost in all cases it seems. But in this case, the G10 body and the Ultim interior, if you watch the video, you have to go to one of the sellers and watch the video to see it and hear it. It's the quietest one out of these. And it was so quiet that it reminded me of this G10 and this one's pretty darn quiet. Could be the G10's just a very good sound absorbing material. But yeah, this one, a little loud. But it also wasn't nearly as expensive as that. So, something to keep in mind if you have tinnitus. Well, we got a little bit out of chronological order there, but close enough. This is one that I would recommend to just about anybody. And you can find it on Amazon these days too. You'll find two different versions. Mine happens to be PEI or Ultim, all three pieces, the outside and the middle dovetail piece. You'll also see this with a white dovetail piece or middle piece, which is likely Teflon. Although it may make things a little bit quieter. I don't think it's really necessary for Teflon on this one. It doesn't feel sticky at all. I like the fact that it's semi-transparent as well, so then you can see the interior. This is 5 clicks, either direction. Not too loud, but again, you wouldn't want to take this one into a meeting. So, and like less than $40 now. So, if you're gonna get first one, you've never had a mechanical, I can highly recommend this. And then you could change the balls out if you want a little bit. I'm not sure what the size are on these, if these are 4mm or not. I want to say they are. And I think I just kept the stainless steel ones in there. It could probably be quieter with nylon, I would imagine. Another Ultim one that I recently got. Very interesting 3-level. It has 2 springs, two sets of detents, and of course 4 balls. And it does have some magnets, but that depends on which version of the shell you get for it. There's different shells, stainless steel, other materials, and sometimes instead of the magnet here, it'll have a screw hole. And even this Ultim one has a blind threaded hole on the inside, in case you have a different liner material, I guess. Maybe it depends on the liner. Either way, if you stick with the Ultim one, you'll get all the magnets, and I think you'll want it that way probably because it has a lot to do with how this functions. Let me find out which way. There's another thing about this that might bother some people, and that's it seems to work better on one side than it does the other side. All you have to do is quickly figure that out and flip it over, to whatever your preference is. And the reason I say that is because, and one of the reasons they have these magnets in here, I think, is because it needs to make a stop and catch the middle piece before it continues and stops on when they're all together, when they're all lined up. And those magnets help that happen. And what I've actually gotten used to is a small haptic pop when I reach those magnets. So there's a pop here, and then a pop there. I think you can hear it there. But yeah, with the different inserts or different liners or different exterior pieces, you may or may not have this magnet here. The middle pieces seem to have the magnet no matter what, because the middle piece can be either clear PEI, and I think I've seen stainless steel, and I think I've seen maybe Teflon. So what I was saying before, if you don't hold this, at least one of the things that bugged me, I thought if I hold it this way, it'll tend to want to go into that USB position. And if you like that, well, there you go. You can set it up like that and do that all day long. But if you just flip it over, you'll find that it tends to work more the way you might expect it to. And I haven't done too much experimenting with the springs and balls in this one. I'm not sure what size they are either. I'm just really happy with the way it is. So another one from Gal Studio is the Cashew, the mechanical Cashew. I've seen different opinions on this, and I can understand why you might not like it. I prefer, honestly, I do prefer all these other sliders to just have a nice straight back and forward motion. This having the curve on it, it makes it a little bit funky. I don't find myself going for this. You know, when I got it brand new, I was very excited about it. And it is one of my earlier mechanicals, I guess. This has 2 springs and 2 balls in it currently. It comes with all glass balls, which I just think you should put those aside, use them somewhere else. 2 of the balls run in this track in here, but that means they sit on the top half here. They're hidden right now, they're underneath here, and they don't move anywhere. They sit in their own little cup shapes. So they're just like friction surfaces that run in these grooves, like a guiding mechanism, not really like a rolling ball bearing. So the glass balls I had in there I thought were very scratchy, and right away I put nylon balls in there. And if you don't do anything else with this one, try putting nylon balls in there for your friction balls, and then do whatever you want, whatever you like for the middle. It can also you can either use springs or balls, or you can use, it comes with some of those little ball plungers. And the ball plungers are, if you haven't seen one, or think I can access one very easily here, but it's just a spring and a ball that's in a tiny little enclosure, which makes it kind of convenient. But it'll accept those, 2 of those, or 3 springs and 3 balls. I prefer to hold it like this and use it like this. I think if you hold it like this, your thumb doesn't really want to turn in that kind of an arc so much. It makes it a little bit harder to use. Otherwise, very nice piece. Very nice piece from Gal. This I did not even know existed until, I didn't see it on AliExpress. I didn't see it anywhere else until I saw fellow reviewer over on Fidget Focused. Is that right? Yeah, I think so. He had this and said where he bought it. And it's called the Lollipop. You can find some used ones on AliExpress, but they actually cost more than this did brand new. So I did a review on this. I won't mention the website here. You can go look up the review if you want to find that out. It's in the comments, because I'm just not even sure what the name of the website was now. But stainless steel, all mechanical. It does have, I keep messing it up, it has 8 magnets in it actually, but they have nothing to do with the haptic feature of this. What they are, I'll take this one apart just to show you it's easy to do. They just keep this cover plate on. So, you know, if you're trying to get something that has no magnets in it, then this is not your piece. But the magnets do not have anything to do with the function. Everything about it's mechanical. Pretty interesting setup. Worth watching my my video just to see how this operates on the inside. And there is, I have it on the way. There's a magnetic version of this. It doesn't have the Lollipop on it, and it's not called the Lollipop. It's called the 4-leaf clover, because it has sort of a 4-leaf clover recessed area that's usually filled with, I don't know what it is, glitter paint. Sometimes it looks like that, what is it on the inside of a shell? I can't think of it now. Darn it, they use it in guitars, inlays and stuff. Mother of pearl. But I have one of those coming, and it's magnetic. And it looks like it's from the same company. When you look at those 2 pieces from behind, they look almost exactly the same. So we'll see about that. That's should be maybe next week. This one just has a nice solid. It's good weight. It's got a good, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 clicks that way. And this one, you know, I can't remember exactly. I know what it is. It's 16 or 32. This has a unique setup on the inside that's similar. There's a different number of D10s, so there's a different number of clicks. But the ACDC Milc Cap version 2, or the noise, whatever you want to call it, like I said before, this can either be 20 clicks or 40 clicks, depending on where you put the magnets and the springs and the balls. There are no magnets. This middle part in here is set up almost the same way, and you'll get either 32 or 16 clicks in a full rotation. So I have it set up for the 32 clicks, but in my video I believe we tried taking it out and using it with 16 in it. So yeah, this one's definitely worthwhile. And if you like lanyards, there's a place to do that too. That's about 4 millimeters, I think. Finally, the latest and greatest. I've really grown to like this over the last couple days. This is the ACDC 42 Cosmo collaboration. It's called the Mermaid, or the Mermaid Reborn. If you just search for AC or ACDC or AC or 42 Cosmo, I believe. 42 Cosmo. If you search for that on AliExpress, you'll find it. The interesting thing about this is it comes in two parts. You pick out the shell material. This is stainless. You can either get stainless, zirconium, or titanium. And the titanium has some blue parts to it. Zirconium's black, I think. I think they all have the same logo on the front, and then the sort of like mermaid fish scales on the back. But the interior is bought separately, and you can either get the mechanical interior, which I have, or two different other magnetic interiors. They're slightly different. One is actually a pivot pin slider, and the other one seems to be like a free-floating magnetic slider with like surface plates that just rub against each other. But I was only interested in the mechanical version, and I'd have to say, out of everything I have, it's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 clicks either direction. But the interior is Teflon, and it doesn't matter how much you squeeze or press down these two together. It slides perfectly. You do not have to push it from behind and hold it from the front at all, though I find myself still doing that all the time. You can keep this in your hand and you don't even have to move anything. Your thumb fits perfectly there. And unlike most sliders, mechanical sliders and stuff, you can usually, like I usually ram it forward and then bring it back slowly, and then sometimes I'll do shit like that. But you usually can't, without squeezing it from the sides, you usually can't have much control over it. But with this one and the Teflon plates allowing you to squeeze it better, you can really just hold this with one hand and easily achieve all those clicks. It's not too loud. You wouldn't want to take it into a meeting. But yeah, super happy with this one. I think it's the best one yet, to be honest. And you know, before this, and if you watch my video, I do have the version that came before this was made by ACDC only, and it was made out of wood, ebony wood. But you want to see more about that, you can watch the other video. Yeah, real happy with this one. So that is it, friends. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching. Bye.